I'm Della Farrant, and this is Oracle TV.
I'm Sarita Diesti, and this is Oracle TV.
Good evening and welcome to Oracle TV's Halloween special. The doors are banging, the moon is full and the witches are in the house. So I hereby declare this Halloween open. Welcome. I know we've got a lot of people watching from various different countries around the world. My name's Carrie Kirkpatrick. I'm your host this evening and I have with me an amazing lineup of guests. And we've also got a lot of films that we're going to be showing you between now and midnight GMT. So do stay with us. We're going to be talking about all sorts of things to do with the esoteric side of Halloween, or Samhain as it's also known, always known, absolutely. My first guest is the incredible, talented, incredibly spiritual, multi-dimensional kind of skills that you've got is Liz King. Welcome, Liz.
Oh, thanks, Carrie. It's lovely to be here, and I love Samhain.
Oh, isn't it amazing? I mean, I talk very extensively about Liz's work because recently I had the opportunity to do some amazing spiritual work with you, and it has been really momentous. And then, you know, I love seeing how lots of different people work in a spiritual and esoteric way, but Liz's work is really amazing. Would you like to tell the viewers a little bit about the kind of work that we did together to do with clearing the Akashic records, bringing in the shamanic influences and all the other things that you bring in? Would you like to explain that a little bit?
Oh, I'd love to. You know me, Carrie, I love to talk. I work very much on a soul level. So it's about the person that's in front of me, but to be able to access collected knowledge and experiences of the soul. So I don't believe that we've only been here once. No. Many experiences. And what I want to be able to do is to look at who somebody is as a soul, as I did with yourself, Carrie. You know, because, you know, we want to be able to kind of press the reset button.
Yeah.
Because as we are souls, you know, we have these wonderful experiences, these human experiences, and sometimes we gather experiences, and sometimes we gather baggage, and sometimes we've got ancestral stuff that is going on, and it's just whoa, you know, and we form patterns and we form all sorts of blocks and restrictions, and how do we find out about this, you know? So what I do and what I've learned to do over the years through probably wading through a lot of my own mistakes, Carrie, is I started to look at things on a past life level. You know, I started to do past life regression so that we can, you know, access our own memories, access the soul, because this is where the information is. And then a few years ago, I kind of started to get, as we do, you know, little things about this wonderful thing called the Akashic Records. And what was this? So I wanted to investigate.
What is it in a nutshell to people? I mean, you know,
in a nutshell,
I think a lot of people may have heard about, you know, looking into their soul purpose, maybe their past lives, understanding a little bit about who they are and the kind of experiences that happen. But when you go to Akashic Records, it's on to a whole different level. Absolutely. Does everyone have an Akashic record?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Every soul on this earth plane has an Akashic record. The planet itself has an Akashic record, but humanity has an Akashic record. And where are these records? You know, because people will talk about going to a library. And yeah, that in many ways is what we see, but it's actually an energetic library. So if you kind of imagine, the technical jargon here is that, you know, we're on the third dimension. So the Akashic records are way up in a higher dimension, between the fourth or the fifth dimension. And this is where there's higher energy beings, etc. That would exist. So, but we also know of these records. Other names for it would have been the Egyptian Book of the Dead, the Tibetan Book of the Dead. You know, we talk about it, you know, in certain religious aspects, you know, that we go to the pearly gates and we have the Book of Judgment.
Yeah.
Really, what is it? It's an energetic library of every single thought, action and deed that each soul has actually had. Now, that helps us because it's a wealth of knowledge. You know, so it's your record, it's your eternal record of your incarnations here on earth. Now, if you've incarnated somewhere else, and this is a whole different ballgame, then you would have an Akashic record for where you would have existed in the cosmos as well. But, you know, we access the earthly ones, and it's a fantastic experience because, you know, you can find out absolutely everything that we've experienced. However, to be able to help somebody to realise who they are, we would look at just particular aspects. We would ask, you know, I go and sit in the Akashic records, but my records to me is a beautiful poppy field. It really is. It's not a library. You know, I'm a country girl. You know, I go off. It's an altered state of reality, and you know, you go through training, Carrie. That you know, you go and it's a bit like ritual. You do this, you do that. You stand on one foot. Me, I open a gate and I go into a field of poppies. Now I'm there, and then I access the information.
And when you did this for me, and when you do this for other clients, I remember what was interesting is that we made an appointment to have a Skype conversation, or it could have been face to face if it had been convenient. But prior to that, you spent a couple of hours working on it, and then after, I got all this knowledge during the session, which was incredible, absolutely incredible. I'm not telling you all what it was, though. Some of it's private. No. But afterwards, I got my homework, and I like that. I really like that. So I had homework. I had certain chants and incantations to make for a period of 21 days, and this was all completely resetting everything, and an awful lot of things did trigger for me within 3 days, which was really interesting. It was a little bit traumatic, but then I was going, oh my god, I think this is meant to happen. We've just started this 21-day cycle, here we go. It was a bit like being on a spiritual Big Dipper roller coaster, and I was going, oh my god, I just hang on. But it was incredible, and it sort of led to lots of very profound dreams and realizations, and some of the spiritual people that I've been working with, because I'm fortunate enough to meet quite a lot, I've just gone, oh, what's happened with your energy there? Something shifted. And
you look shiny.
Yes. So is it cheating to reset your Akashic records? Are we not supposed to go through life carrying all of our karma and everything? Is it okay to kind of, are we jumping to the end of the queue, or what are we doing? Is it just a detox?
No, what I actually believe is that we make choices, you know. Does it mean if we've made a bad choice in one lifetime that, you know, we've got to keep on repeating it? Because this is my belief, and I come from a place of experiences and beliefs. My belief is that whatever happens, let's go back 23 lifetimes ago. It's always my magic number, Carrie. 23 lifetimes ago, I perhaps take a vow. Let's just say, because vows are very modern day as well. We have marriage vows, don't we?
Yeah.
But when you actually look at the energy that is created then, so let's just say we're really smart 23 lifetimes ago and take a vow of poverty.
Oh dear.
Yeah, it's a good one, isn't it? You know, why would we do that? Well, we can only imagine.
Get closer to God,
absolutely.
you know.
You know, that would have been it. You know, I've got to suffer whatever. Now that vow, 23 lifetimes ago, I will guarantee you will rear its head again lifetime 22, 21, 20, and it will be manifested in this lifetime, because a vow of poverty will mean that it doesn't matter how much you work, you will only have enough. How much you have, you could lose it all. And so you'll never ever be rich. And of course, poverty doesn't have to just be money, it can be all sorts of things that represent security. So
sacrifice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the thing is, so our choices that we make in the lifetime, some people will class this as karma. That's the one thing we can't clear though. If we have got justified karma, so we've done something and there are karmic repercussions, universal law is that we can't clear it, but we can make the choice not to relive it again. So in that way, so it's pressing the reset button by understanding our mistakes and being able to make new choices. But let's just say, for example, I cleared your records, Carrie, and you thought, I'm not doing my homework and I'm not making new choices. You're just going to repeat the same stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So it's free will,
it's
obviously.
Free will.
Yeah,
absolutely. But it's incredible because it allows us to be conscious and to understand.
Yeah.
As soon as you've got that understanding, you go, oh, for goodness sake, that's
Yeah.
exactly what's
Now,
going on.
In my experience, people have only sort of come across working with their Akashic records when they've already done a lot of other work on themselves. It's always, maybe it's the kind of thing for people to do when they're quite advanced. But in fact, it can be something that somebody that's just going straight into it could really benefit from as well, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's nothing to do with belief or understanding. That's my job, to try and to give somebody the answers as to why they are perhaps, experiencing something that they class as being negative or restrictive in their life. So it doesn't have to be the most spiritually aware. It's a very, very ancient I suppose, knowledge, wisdom. The Egyptians believed that they couldn't progress into the afterlife unless they actually had, they were weighing their sins, their good deeds, their bad deeds. And that really was the Akashic records there. So they were smart enough to be able to clear it beforehand, so they knew about it. So it will work equally as well whether somebody believes or doesn't believe, because when I do a session, as you'll know, Carrie, you and I had never met, we had never spoken. No. So when I went into your records and I would say, right, this is the story, because there's always a story, and you were able to kind of resonate with that, weren't you?
Absolutely, absolutely, I was indeed. And as I said, I'm not going to overshare because it's all a bit, but it really was wow, and I'm very glad that I did it because, I do kind of have a lot of esoteric experiences and, can try different things and work with a lot of self-development teachers and healers, and I'm very lucky within the line of my work to be able to do that. And I did notice a very strong impact, a very positive impact after the initial bumpy ride, and which I just think, wow, pretty powerful stuff, really lovely. Now, we were talking about it being Samhain. Obviously, it's Halloween in a couple of days. Samhain, for all of us that are into paganism and witchcraft, we just love this time of year, and it's kind of like, yay! It's like really exciting. It's the best bit of the beginning of the winter. The rest of the winter, I'm not so bothered. But Halloween is a great time. What is so special about it for you? How do you celebrate?
Well, I'm a bit of an old-fashioned girl, really, because I still have the trick-or-treaters and things like that, because I love it. But they're a bit frightened to come to me in the village. So
we'll say no more.
But personally, I love it because the veil is the thinnest. So, my communication with the loved ones in spirit, or the spiritual realms. So to me, this is when I get my best advice. And this is when everybody else will have, you know, their loved ones coming closer. And that's what it would have been about in the olden days. Well, I live in the country, so we're still in the olden days, but it's fine. But do you know, when we would have went into ourselves in the winter time, you know, the darker nights, and we would have been very reflective. And so to me, this is my time that my ancestors will come around. I love the ancestral stuff because it's getting the wisdom from it, you know. I mean, and I know at this time of year I can expect visitations from my loved ones, and I'll always know that my mother's about because she gives me into trouble, you know, and but it's there, but I can draw on their experience to help me, you know, carry on with the next year.
So she's living her mischief through you.
Well, I don't know if it was so much mischief. My mum was a very, her way. It was her way, Carrie. You know, my sister would tell you the same. You know, she was a very strong lady. She was a Celtic lady, and very strong. So I always know if somebody, you know, comes to me with a message, I'll know if it's my mother, because the first thing that she does is always give me into trouble for something. Lives on.
Well, it's funny you were saying about mothers, because I'm wearing my mother's diamond rings, because ever since Saturday, when I was at the Mind, Body, Soul experience in Alexandra Palace, I have had going round and round in my head, diamonds are a girl's best friend. I'm not going to sing it, don't worry, but diamonds are a girl's best friend. And it was going round and round, and I didn't put the rings on at first, and I just thought I have to put her rings on because they're diamonds, because this music will never stop. And it's gone on for about 5 days.
She's obviously around.
Yes, absolutely. And I have to wear her jewellery.
And it's often how it comes though, isn't it, that, you know, suddenly, I mean, I had an old mother-in-law that used to play or put jigsaws together, and she used to drink sherry, and I knew because I was like going and buying jigsaws and a bottle of sherry, and it was like very bizarre. And then I realised, because sometimes when you work in this kind of all the time, you don't realise, you know, we're not
you just
aware
do things
that
automatically.
that was it, until my daughter's actually looking at me and thinking, sherry mother, you know, not your usual tipple.
No,
but,
you know. absolutely. Now, talking about people that have passed over, I would like to take an opportunity to remember one of my friends that passed away this year, and it was at the beginning of the year in January, and this lady was such an amazing character, what you would call a truly fabulous witch. She was amazing, and she had the best humour and the bluest language. You know, she was amazing, and she worked in the funeral business, and her name was Avril Elms, and she sadly passed to cancer at the beginning of this year. And I just want to let her know that she is remembered fondly as she comes around. In fact, I'm wearing one of her skirts. So, oops, the oil's on the floor. And I would just like to anoint this candle. And I'm just going to say, Avril Elms, this candle is for you. We honour you at this time of Samhain, and we remember you fondly. And as this candle burns, we're going to be sending all our love to you. And I think we've just got a lovely picture of Avril that we can bring up here as well. Here we've got Avril, you see on the right hand side, there she was in one of the few photographs we ever managed to get of her smiling. And she teased me about it for ages, and that she put it on Facebook, and everyone was going, oh my God, you've got Avril smiling, you know, because she did have a bit of a dark side to her, as you can see by the photo on the left. You know, Avril is actually modelling as the goddess Hecate in the photo on the left, and she kindly modelled for me as the goddess Hecate for one of my books, Goddess Enchantment, Magic and Spells, for the goddess of Samhain. And there she is with a black candle, and she was always rather partial to burning a black candle or two, our Avril. And but she had the best humour, and she made us laugh. Oh, she made us laugh. And I remember her so fondly. And I do think it's really lovely at this time of year to be able to honour those that have gone before, and to remember them, not necessarily with sadness or loss or grief. Although if you are still in that mourning period, then, you know, to be gentle and to appreciate the love that comes through from them the other side, but to actually raise a toast to them. And, you know, we're going to be doing a lot of that over the next couple of days. And I can feel her bouncing around already. So yes, have you? It's been quite an intense year for people passing and there being lots of chaos and lots of upheaval. And I don't know if you've been experienced any sadness yourself in the last year, but it just seems to be that there's been an awful lot of it around.
Not in the last year, Carrie, but I would say over a period of time. I mean, our family has really diminished in numbers. And there is a lot of sadness, but I suppose what has always taken me through that is the understanding that, they're not really gone. I mean, I live between, I suppose, realms, Carrie. It's great to be able to talk about it because I'm a bit like you. I just know that they're around. Yeah. There'll always be signs, always be signs of them.
Oh, that's really nice. And so for people of you who are watching out there who may still feel the burning loss and are mourning in such way, then, it's a natural process, but if you're having a little bit of difficulty getting over the grief process, then it really could be worth coming and speaking to somebody who is a medium and healer as well, because there is an awful lot of healing and clarity and moving through the energy of it all that can happen from a session, from a sitting. There's often a lot of healing that comes through that. That's why I say medium healer, because I think really the lines do get blurred, don't they? Because there is a healing through having that mediumistic connection. And often mediums will have healing abilities that they may give you a healing treatment as well. So I do want to kind of say that if you are feeling a sense of loss, and just to sort of honour and celebrate those people at this time of year, but not to feel weighed down by it, because that's not what they want, and that's not what any of us want. And it is possible to heal that heartache by just moving it, transcending it onto a different level of connection, isn't there?
Very much so. I mean, when anybody comes to, myself in that part of my work, it's always a privilege to be able to, nobody can ever promise that we can connect with a particular person. In shamanic practice, it is slightly different because we don't just wait for whoever or whichever person in spirit form will come to us. We can actually travel into the spirit world. That's what fascinated me about it, Carrie. But in a healing session, it's very much about just that knowing. I feel it's about hope.
Oh, yes.
And it's about the hope of, to me, and this is as I say, my personal experience working with people, that, when you have, I suppose, had terrible sadness, terrible loss, experience that, often we don't have anything to look forward to, because our own mortality often kind of comes into the point. Now, when there's been a connection, a wonderful connection with a loved one, that we can provide evidence of who we are actually talking about, and that's the important thing. I always say to people, look, you would know your loved one, we don't. This is it, and there will always be a message. There will always be just something there. That person goes away, and you can just see them lifted up because there is hope. That they know that this is not all what it's about. They've had that proof, and often, but something in them will have brought them to a place, because they're seeking, they're seeking something. They don't know what they're seeking often, but to me that's the word that I would use.
And that's an important part of the equation, isn't it? Is that the fact that the person is seeking a connection. That it's not that people are trying to force it onto people, because it would be inappropriate and they wouldn't be asking for it. But if they're seeking it, then their guides, their higher self has prompted them, and they are open to having that connection come through. Oh, the doors are banging again.
I even jumped. Who's there?
We're just talking about getting that connection, and the door slammed. Okay.
All the time. Madness. It's very true, though,
Yeah.
isn't it, Carrie? That, you know, anybody that goes to, you know, any spiritual group or any spiritual person, they are looking for something. You know, it would be very inappropriate of me to wander up to people in the street and say, like, can I pass on a message to you?
No.
You know,
Yeah,
no.
no.
It's not. It's about, because only when that person is ready, and they will be drawn to the right place or the right person to be able to bring that connection through.
Now, you talk about also shamanic practice.
Yeah.
Sometimes I guess it's about loosely using the word spirit, isn't it? Because, you know, in mediumship, the medium is making connection to a loved one, which is in the spirit world, and bringing it through. And we talk about spirit guides as well to the person who's having the sitting. Yeah. In shamanic practice, it's like all the rules go out the window, don't they? It's like, you know, you go into a dream world, and then it's like the gloves are off.
Oh, it's absolutely craziness sometimes, and that's the thing. I mean, I'm still learning. I've been doing this for 30 odd years, and it's like, really, what I wanted though was to be able to be in control. Now, I'm not a control freak, honestly. My friends will tell you this. Well, maybe they won't, but anyway. But I'm not. But
They will if you tell them to.
Probably, yeah, you know, controlling. But what I wanted to be able to do was to be more in control. That, you know, well, who's coming about me if I wanted a connection or I wanted a particular piece of information? Because not everybody is able to meditate or journey on their own. So a shaman, and we use this in Western world as very loosely what the shamans do. However, through my own regression, I've had some very weird journeys in very weird places, you know, and whoa, you know, so the spirits, if you like, that we will see are not necessarily in human form. You know, it's a completely different altered state of reality, but it's about being able to go and work a very deep level. So you're working with parts of people's souls, for example, because we're looking for parts of people's souls, you know, that's really interesting. We can journey into completely different realms where the landscape is nothing at all like this, and you do sometimes coming back thinking, well, what was in that tea, you know? Because it really
well, it's like that Carlos Santan, what was his that author that wrote all this, you know, Carlos Santan, and I can't pronounce it properly. I'm sorry. I do apologise to the author. But it's that whole kind of quite hallucinogenic kind of aspect of it all. And that's before people get onto the ayahuasca. You know?
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of spirit animals that you will come across in shamanic practice, but they could also be some which are non-human, I'm guessing. Yeah?
Very, very much so. And what you will also come across is the darker side of nature as well, or the darker side of the universe as well. Because in shamanism, there really isn't a good and bad or a light and dark. It's just is. I mean, nature has her own very, you know, powerful, you know, darker side, as you know, as it has its lighter side. So often you will come across beings that are totally unrecognizable. They might not even take form, that it might just be light, or it might look like a rock, or it could be something. So you've got to be able to communicate on all levels, or learn to have this universal communication. And I mean, there's some wonderful, wonderful beings, but even our own spirit guides don't necessarily come in human form. So often, you know, I'll throw that out there and you're thinking, what is that? What is this? And they will come at you sometimes very scarily, because they can represent perhaps somebody's emotion or something that's lost. You will find yourself jumping back occasionally and then thinking, well, that was really big, and then it's this tiny little thing, you know. You just learn to work, because you know, sometimes the information that we seek is not going to be given up easily. And the person that we would be working on behalf of in a shamanic way would have to be ready to be able to accept that part of themselves.
Yes.
you know, as well. So it's wonderful.
It's quite complex, isn't it?
Oh,
You know, but
absolutely.
it's not the sort of thing that the querent, the person might just go, hey, listen, I thought I might get a psychic reading. Oh, hey, I might go on a shamanic journey and sort it all out that way, because they wouldn't get there, and
No.
just as well, because it would just be hazardous, really, wouldn't it? You need to be trained to make this journeying, do this journeying.
Absolutely. It's all about keeping yourself safe and being aware. You know, it is about being able to come back. I mean, certain people, you know, you can train yourself to do it, but I'll always say it's not something for the faint-hearted.
No.
And that's why, but then where do these practices fit in? You know, if somebody came to me, for example, and had an issue, I would bring components in, but I would do it in a very kind of try to be very mainstream way. We don't need to, you know, be dressed in a particular way. It would scare the natives of the village. You know, it's not, we don't need to get into character. You know, I am just this little lady that sits in the house and off I'll go. So sometimes we don't need to have the workings of it. We just need to have the results.
Yeah. Now, talking about spirit animals.
Yeah.
A little bird tells me that you have beautiful wolf-like dogs in your house, and you breed them, don't you?
I do. They're Alaskan Malamutes.
And we've seen the pictures on Facebook, and we're just totally in love. You know, it's just as well my 4 cats managed to sort of like outvote me getting a dog, because I was so tempted. But I do have 4 cats, and I would never hear the end of it, you know. But they are so gorgeous. Have you always been drawn to this kind of dog? Do you think this is one of your spirit guides or spirit animals a wolf?
Well, yes. To answer that, yes. But I wasn't initially. I was more of a cat person. Yeah. I've changed sides.
Oh no! Don't tell my cats that.
Oh no! I've got 4 cats as well. But the cats think that they're the dog, and it just gets. They live as one happy family. When I started to do my shamanic work, I started to be drawn more and more towards what we'll call snow dogs. It had to be, there had to be a connection. The husky always, you know, because that was the connection with Siberia, and the great connection for shamans would be Siberia, because that's, you know, Mongolia, Siberia. And then I thought, well, you know, no, not quite right. And I saw a Malamute, and that was it, because they are the most intelligent dogs. And I know people talk about dogs like that, but these are like having 3 teenagers in the house.
Oh
because
no!
They do, you know, you can.
They're
see
just
him.
sitting there on the sofa all day playing computer games.
Well, if they could actually press the buttons, that's exactly. Usually eating somebody's jumper or something along the lines, and digging holes. But when I do any work, any of my clearing work, they know. They just know. They will tell me whether they like somebody or they don't like somebody. And if they don't like somebody, which is highly unusual, I know that I need to look closer at that person.
And what do they do if they don't like someone? I mean, there's quite a lot of them and they're big. Are we don't sort of chase them out? Bite them?
Havoc, who's my boy, Havoc by name and by nature, by the way. You know, he it's the only time I will hear him make a noise, like a growling noise. I mean, he wouldn't bite them, but he just looks at me and he growls. And that's highly unusual, because usually he's like, you know, trying to give you all this love. But when I do any clearing work, any releasing work, they howl, they sing, the whole place, they know, and they're just so energy aware.
Wow.
It's absolutely fantastic. So I've got my and some of the guys in the village actually did think that I had 3 wolves living in the house. That's all I'm saying. But they look.
Well, it's very Game of Thrones, isn't it? So we should now be calling you Liz Stark.
Imagine. My wolves. But yeah.
My dragons are out the back.
Oh,
you know.
well, see. Mine just need brushed and fed more often.
Because obviously I am Daenerys, obviously. No. I'll do the body double, yeah. No.
Oh dear.
So Liz, is there there anything that people can do as they are approaching Halloween now, Samhain? It's a couple of days. I know the energies are very strong. We've had a huge big full moon. This week has been very highly charged.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we've just got a kind of like a few minutes left, sort of about 5 minutes or so. Is there anything that you can give people as maybe a little tip or a little kind of advice on what they might like to meditate on that could be specifically for this time?
Oh, Carrie, I'm so glad you asked me that. I love this time because, and especially the full moons just passed, but this is the time of when we would release everything that no longer serves us, and that really is a whole gambit of things, isn't it? But it's about what doesn't make you happy. You know, it's about old baggage. This is a wonderful time because that's why the ancestors come round us, to be able to advise us how to move forward. So if something is not making us happy or is upsetting us or we're carrying a burden, this is a wonderful time to be able to let it go. And if we don't know what it is, then it's about meditating, just going within ourselves, because this is the time of release. It's one of the, you know, I love Samhain because it's this, you know, it's the whole ceremony or celebration of death, actually, isn't it?
Yes.
Letting go what we don't want.
Yeah.
And we've got to, it's like the farmers, if you like, they've, you know, cut the last harvest, or they gathered the last harvest, and this is when, you know, the old times that they would then let the fields rest, so everything would die off, everything goes back down into the earth. And as humans, this is what we do as beings. So it's about, you know, right, okay, that hasn't worked, let go, rather than go into the new year with the old baggage. It is about being able to park it, you know, let it go, let it die.
Because I think it has been a really stressful year for a lot of people,
awful.
and they've been carrying a lot, and the energies have been getting increasingly chaotic leading up to Samhain. So now really is that release valve, isn't it?
Absolutely. And the thing is, the way, you know, I like to kind of be in charge. And what I'm talking about is being able to be in charge of how I feel, and about what I want to let go. And if we don't do this on a voluntary basis,
it's going to be done for
It's
us.
going to be done for us, and that's exactly. So it's about the pain-free. It's about the, you know, the I suppose the way forward, and what's it, the course of least resistance.
Yes.
And that's it. So if we actually let go, and one of the things that I do, I love fire. I'm a misspent youth, not, but what I do is I just write what I want to release on little bits of paper, and I just send it up. So, you know, that would be my Halloween.
Yeah, so burn it in a candle.
Yeah.
But if you're going to do this inside, I mean, obviously outside is great.
Outside is great, yes.
If you're doing it inside, then please do like have a saucepan or something fireproof that you can do this and put it in, because you know what it's like when a piece of paper goes up. It's like, oh no, and we don't want to hear of any accidents, please, folks.
No, it is do it under. I do it outside.
Yeah.
I mean, I do it still under the moon. Doesn't matter whether it's rain. To me, it's just fire, because it cleanses.
Yeah.
And that's what I do. I remember my ancestors. I thank them for the gifts that they've brought, because some of the gifts that they've brought isn't always what really makes us happy, because we take on their stuff, don't we? Yeah. So we remember them, and you know, all I would say is at this time of year, we are who we are because of what's come before us. So if we don't like it, this is the time to make changes.
Wow. Now, there's going to be a lot of people watching out there that are really interested, first of all, in the Akashic records. What should they do? What's the best way to contact you?
Oh, well, you'll find me. Just Google me. I've always wanted to say that, actually.
And you just did.
But if you Google me at Liz King, it will bring up all my links. But I've got a webpage, which is rutlandsanctuary.co.uk, or Facebook, you know, I'll always, but as I say, Google me, I'll come up.
Or just send a crow.
Yeah,
send a crow with a message. That would be fine.
It usually ends up, because
Yeah.
that is
Or
how
raven.
it's how my mobile works anyway, because it's, or when the pigeon comes over, it's fine. But genuinely, that's it. You'll find me. I'll always get back to you.
Brilliant. Well, we are going to be going to a break quite soon, and we're going to be back in a few minutes' time with the incredible TJ Higgs, and that's our next guest. It's going to be very exciting. More spirit activity in the house, in the studio. The doors are banging, and I think Tracy's brought a few of her spirit guides with her as well this evening. So we're going to be seeing you for the next section of the show. Don't forget to stay tuned with us right the way through until midnight, and we'll see you after this.